If there's a labor shortage, then wages should be going through the roof, yet they're not.
You're correct, they should be. And you're also correct that they are not.
Let me break this down for you. These companies can't afford you anymore. That's all it is. That's why they're having to import all the fucking illegals.
Huh?
It's the bane of my existence trying to explain this shit to you, to anybody. These companies could never afford it. That's why they have to keep printing money. They have to keep, selling shares to people.
Could it be that this might be the bane of your existence trying to explain this because you have no fucking idea what you're talking about? Now, look, I don't want to pick on you too hard because it feels like your sentiment is in the right place, like you feel like people should be doing better and they're being taken advantage of by the system. But literally everything you mumbled through this video is complete and utter nonsense. Companies can't afford to pay us. That's why wages have been stagnant and they print money and sell shares. That's not how that works. That's not how any of this works. First of all, let's just look at the rawest of numbers. After-tax corporate income in the US is over $300 trillion. They post record profits annually. Since the year 2000, corporate profits have increased 600%, 6 times more than the average wage over the same time period. See, not only by the numbers could they afford us, they can afford to pay us around 6 times more than what they do. These are readily available numbers, my guy. If they were selling shares to make money because they can't afford labor or whatever you were trying to ramble on about there, then explain stock buybacks, which corporations spend billions of dollars in profit on every year just to increase shareholder value. And shareholder value, shareholder returns is the real reason that wages have remained stagnant. Because Ronald Reagan's tax cuts and all of the subsequent tax cuts for corporations and the wealthy have reduced the amount of money that they need to reinvest into their businesses to get tax deductions. So where they used to be forced to make the choice of giving a bunch of money to the government in the form of taxes or spending that money investing in equity and labor in their companies to retain that profit and giving their shareholders value in the form of corporate equity, stability, and reliability, which are all increased by a healthy, well-trained, well-paid workforce. Now they don't need to worry about it because the taxes are so low they can pocket that money without all of the reinvestment, and shareholder value comes in the form of quarterly returns. One way they manage to achieve increased quarter-over-quarter returns is running the leanest, most underpaid workforce they can get away with. And while there is a labor shortage, and in a regular free market economy, companies would be forced to increase wages until their labor demands were met. We don't have a free market economy. See, a free market requires competition. Competition requires enforcement of antitrust laws. Antitrust laws are shit we don't enforce anymore, which is why 4 companies control 75% of the global agriculture industry. There's like, 5 big tech companies that control nearly the entire tech industry. 14 corporations control the global auto industry. 25 companies control 70% of the pharmaceutical industry. You can apply this to almost any industry, and when you have that few companies controlling global markets, it's really easy for them to coordinate on business practices. Now, if these companies were forced to operate in a competitive market, they would be forced to raise wages to attract quality labor so they could meet demand with a competitive product. Otherwise, their competitors would start outperforming them and they'd lose money. But now they can all get together and be like, hey, why don't we just not raise wages? And if people don't want to work for poverty wages, we'll just reduce production. That'll reduce supply and we'll increase our prices. It's a win-win. We don't have to compete with each other. Our costs will go down and our profit margins will go up because demand remains the same, but they can collude to reduce supply. They got a catchy new term for it. It's called greedflation. So they're not printing money because they can't afford to pay us. Prices aren't going up because they're paying us too much. Nah, the anemic economic conditions of middle and lower class America exist solely because the dietary regimen of corporate America is acutely deficient in Grandpa Roosevelt's cans of old-fashioned whoop-ass. And unless we put something really rich in our diets or get a little Teddy and Franklin back in theirs, it's only gonna get worse.